touched on this, and before we go to the fun half, I want to cover this. I already touched on this thing about the Office of Government Ethics. And Walter Schaub, the director of the Independent Office of Government Ethics, wrote a letter to Senate Democratic leaders on Saturday. Some of Trump's nominees, particularly those with a complex web of financial interests and little background in public service, about 80% of them, I would say, are left with potentially unknown or unresolved ethics issues before their hearings. According to this letter that he sent, this is unprecedented. I am not aware of any occasion in the 4 decades since the OGE, the Office of Government Ethics, was established, when the Senate held a confirmation hearing before the nominee had completed the ethics review process. Let's go to Reince Priebus, who was on with Chris Wallace on Sunday. Priebus is now is the chief of staff for President electoral Trump. And here he is addressing the fact that there doesn't seem to be the documentation you're supposed to submit.
That's all.
Reince, I just want to pick up on that. We got less than a minute left because the Office of Government Ethics announced this week that it has been unable to complete background ethics checks on a number of Trump's nominees and said it's of great concern that these confirmation hearings are going to go forward before those background checks are...
Now, note the way that he's framing this, right? Like, they just don't have the ability to get their act together. As opposed to, it's pretty early in the process as far as these things go, and nobody has sent in any documentation, and you're having all the hearings on one day. But continue.
Nominees and said it's of great concern that these confirmation hearings are going to go forward before those background checks are complete. Senator Schumer says you're trying to jam them through. Given the statement by the Office of Government Ethics, any thought of delaying the confirmation hearings for any of these nominees until the background checks are complete?
No, I mean they have to get moving. I mean they have to move faster, and they have all the information. These are people that have been highly successful in their lives. They need to move quicker. And the fact is there's no reason. I mean, it's the first week of January. They have all the details that they need. They have all the information that they need. It's no different from any other new administration coming in. And the American people demand it. Change was voted for, and change we will get.
Reince, thank you.
Oh, thank you. They're so successful that you don't have to worry about ethics.
We don't got time for that. They've been out too much making stupid money.
I want to put a flag in something, though, for you. Or I want to flag something. They have all the information they need, right? This is a problem with the Office of Government Ethics. This isn't a problem with the nominees. But moments earlier or simultaneously or across town, and really probably just across 6th Avenue, or maybe in D.C., I guess, Mitch McConnell is on Face the Nation with John Dickerson. And he seems to let it slip that, well, maybe they don't have all the documentation, but they still got to get over it.
The nominees, the Office of Government Ethics has asked the Senate to slow down the confirmation process. The executive director wrote, "I'm not aware of any occasion in the 4 decades since OGE was established when the Senate held a confirmation hearing before the nominees had completed the ethics review process." Will you slow down the process?
Well, we're still in the process of getting the papers in. I think at least 5 of the nominees have all of their papers in. You know, what this is about, John, that Democrats are really frustrated.
So Reince Priebus says all the papers are in, and McConnell says some of them have all their papers in. They clearly don't. Let me just read the letter that the head of the government and the Office of Government Ethics wrote. The Ethics in Government Act In other words, the law says establishes a requirement that covered nominees to presidentially appointed Senate-confirmed positions must obtain OGE, Office of Government Ethics, certification of their financial disclosure reports. That this certification must be obtained prior to the hearing is evidenced by the additional requirement that the nominees must make current their financial disclosure reports as to earned income by the date of the hearing. In other words, you would not have to update the report filed prior to the hearing on income earned since you filed the report if the report was able to be filed after the hearing. 3, further evidence is found in the requirement that the OGE director shall forward a copy of this report of each nominee to the congressional nomination. 4, this timing is significant because the need for OGE certification prior to the hearing creates the leverage necessary to compel nominees to disclose their assets fully and resolve all conflicts of interest. So the law is pretty clear here. But here's Mitch McConnell talking BS.
That they lost the election. I was in Senator Schumer's position 8 years ago. I know how it feels when you're coming into a new situation that the other guys won the election. What did we do? We confirmed 7 cabinet appointments the day President Obama was sworn in. We didn't like most of them either, but he won the election. So all of these little procedural complaints are related to their frustration at having not only lost the White House, but having lost the Senate. I understand that, but we need to sort of grow up here and get past that. We need to have the president's national security team in place on day one, and papers are still coming in, and so I'm optimistic that we'll be able to get up to 7 nominees on day one, just like we did 8 years ago.
Should it be a rule that the papers come in and then you have the hearing?
Well, on Hillary Clinton, for example, we had a hearing before her FBI report was completed. The vote on the floor, and we want to have all the records in, that all the papers completed before they're actually confirmed on the Senate floor.
So nothing's slowing down? Nothing's slowing down in terms of the
No, I don't think
here.
so. I mean, we want to treat, they should want to treat President-elect Trump just like we treated President-elect Obama.
Wouldn't their response be there's a qualitative difference between the Obama nominees and the Trump nominees? You've got people here who have these big private industry successes, but also a lot of complexity.
Well, I could have made that same argument 8 years ago.
Were they as complex?
Well, they were wildly liberal people.
Well, that's ideology, though.
Yeah, but what's the difference? I mean,
well, okay, let's start last and work our way back. The difference is that the issue isn't the ideology of these people. The issue is that you have billionaires with huge potential for conflict of interest, and the Office of Government Ethics can't do their job. And to cite that on January 20th, we confirmed 7 of Obama's nominees. Well, we still have a couple of weeks before the hearing. But since Mitch McConnell is in such a sentimental mood about when he was on the other side, let's read a piece from Mitch McConnell when he writes in 2009, the Senate has the constitutional duty to provide its advice and consent on presidential nominations, a duty which we take seriously. Therefore, prior to considering any time agreements on the floor on any nominee, we expect the following standards will be met. FBI background check is complete, submitted to the committee in time for review, and prior to a hearing being noticed. 2, the Office of Government Ethics letter is complete and submitted to the committee in time for review and prior to a committee hearing. Financial disclosure statements, tax returns for applicable committees are complete and submitted to the committee for review prior to a hearing being noticed. Noticed, not even held, just even scheduled. All committee questionnaires are complete and have been returned to the committee. Unbelievable. Not really unbelievable. Yeah. But
actually deeply believable,
but
unexpected.
If I've got this letter, maybe John Dickerson should have that letter. You know? I don't know.
So, yeah, got ya. What do you think about scheduling? Oh, well, you know, we didn't like their nominees either. Ooh,
okay.
Good point, Mr. Incoming Majority Leader.
All right, we're going to take a break, go in the fun half.
The OGE couldn't even reach the Trump transition team for at least 10 days after the election.
That's because the phone doesn't ring when you're tweeting.
Yeah, they were calling, emailing. It was unclear. I mean, at least 10 days.
That's Bob Dole's fault.
But define ethics.
Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.